Now more than ever, it is obvious that there is a collective who was not designed to work a 9 to 5, was not designed for this matrix, this system, this hamster wheel. And if you're here right now and if you watch my videos, you are probably part of that collective. There's a few parts of this. There are certain people who have a design that work better in unity and in community. Even my human design, I think one of the modalities, says that I work best with others, especially being a generator, because I bounce off of people and like that help, or other things like that helps me form my opinions. But at the same time, I've always, whenever I've seen that, I've been like, no, the 9 to 5 is not for me. The working for someone else is not for me, because the collective that finds this video, you know that you have a grand purpose in this shift here on earth, and that we're experiencing it right now. So now more than ever, you have the opportunity to get paid to exist, which is so exciting. And I want to dive into like what that actually means. I'm gonna get Arlo to stop eating hay. We're here in Ireland, if you are new here, and I have my 2 dogs and my cat with me. And so to get paid to exist, I think that when we are so burnt out from working so much, like there is a part of us that's like, I just want to lay on the beach and like, make money while I sleep. Yes, I think that that is a really exciting step of having that influx of abundance, of having, of coming into alignment with the abundance that you truly are. But once you reach that point, and, I've spoken with a lot of people who have reached this point where, their money is pretty automated and they're making passive income and they, get to like float around and go to the beach and whatnot. You reach a point where you're like, the most important part about life, one of the most important parts, I think community is probably the most important, because when you look at the Harvard study on longevity, they found that like by studying people's lives, the most key factor to longevity was community. And I think that we are social beings. I think that is a very, very important thing. I think one of the other most important things is to feel like we have a purpose. And that can be so different in so many different ways. And you don't have to figure out purpose. I don't think that purpose is something that you just like, you're like, this is my purpose. You might know, you might have like an idea. It might change over time. But I have found through my experience, through meditation, that purpose is not something that you discover. It's something that like you almost see in hindsight, but that it's more of an experience of following the joy and following the curiosity and being of service to others. And so the law of one talks about this process of being of service to others and how that makes us harvestable for the next level of ascension. So that would, like in this current realm, would look like going to the 5D, going to the next level, the new earth here on earth, and then the next level after that, and like then the next octave after that. And so we're on this natural progression of ascension. Whatever you don't learn in this life, what I feel to be true is that you reincarnate and then you learn it in another life. That's what I feel is true. and so right now here, if you're searching for the timeline where you don't have to work to make money, where you get to be paid to exist, then I think rather than looking for, the influx of money, winning the lottery, winning the blah, 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 having whatever, miracle money, that's a great thing to focus on. But like that can be tricky I don't even want to put limiting beliefs on that. It's very possible to manifest that. I think that really it's a matter of, and it's amplified right now, especially like the energies are so intense right now with this 3-eye atlas, with all these different things going on with tomorrow's the 14th. And so there's, what is it called? There's something big happening in the 14th based off some calendar or whatever. It's supposed to change the perception of time. And today I'm feeling it a lot. But with all that energy going on right now in this current reality, it's amplifying the potential of you following your joy and your curiosity and putting your focus and your energy into it like it is like the most important thing in your life. That then opens you up to that next level of reality, which is in alignment with your truth, and that is then in alignment with the abundance that you truly are. And so that is the process of unlocking your purpose, is following your joy and following your curiosity, and then it aligns you with the abundance. But what also happens while we do this process is that we go through the crumble, which is when we think about quantum physics and quantum manifestation. So you choose your reality. You say, I am going to move towards this reality. I'm going to co-create this reality. I'm going to follow my joy and follow my curiosity. I'm going to get paid to exist. It's going to feel like this. I'm going to be in this house. It's going to look in these colors. And you're like, this is my order to the divine of the infinite possibilities. I'm going to follow my joy and curiosity, and those are going to be the breadcrumbs on my way there. And I'm going to trust the process. Trusting the process means that you are willing to remain clear on your vision. Sorry, I got the dogs settled and my camera died. But it means that you are willing to remain clear on the vision. And even when your circumstances don't line up to what you're calling in, and even if you're in a job right now, or even if you are experiencing the perception of lack or of, not the amount of money that you want coming in, can you still hold that vibration of what it feels like to get paid to exist? Like, what does that feel like in your body? You don't have to know all the details of what that timeline looks like, but at the root of it, what does it feel like? Probably safety, probably love, probably acceptance. And where can you notice that in your life right now? How can you be grateful for that in your life right now? And how can you continue to embody that feeling throughout your day? And really also trusting the signs that come up while this process is happening too. Asking the divine for clear guidance on where it is that you're meant to go, on what you're meant to do, on what projects you're meant to work on, what areas you're meant to visit or go to or live in, or people you're meant to talk to. And when people will show you their true colors too. And people will show you the projections, and they will show you exactly the stories that have been playing out for so long in your dynamic in the background that you maybe didn't see, or maybe you did, you just didn't want to acknowledge it. And so when you finally acknowledge that, and you acknowledge that that maybe isn't in alignment with the timeline where you get to be paid to exist, where you get to, be in alignment with the abundance that you truly are and the joy that you truly are, you can realize that not everyone can come with you. And that, one of the most important things to do in this process as well is to not talk about your vision, about where you're headed, to people who have underlying judgments or jealousy, really, about that for you. And, people will try and keep you in the familiar. They will try and keep you small for all the different reasons. Maybe it's out of, their love for you and their care for you and their own patterns and what they think is possible for reality. Maybe it is out of jealousy and about their own insecurity about, the potential that they have. And so they project that onto you and want to keep you small because it's easier for you to stay in that story that they have of you, in that growth story where it's oh, that wannabe influencer, that wannabe business owner, that wannabe blah, 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 whatever it is, healer, spiritual healer. Not everyone's going to understand where you're headed. And you have to love yourself so fiercely, accept yourself so fiercely. Sorry, I had to settle the dogs again. This time the farm dogs, because they like to bark at the ground and at everything that there is. And so loving yourself and accepting yourself so fiercely when others have their own experiences and their own projections and their own everything going on about you, about life, about what you should do, about how you should do it, la 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 la, what's possible. And I think I got a comment recently that was it was saying that the problem with people, I think me, is that, they just chase the good feelings and then they end up doing really stupid things and creating a really stupid life. And I was just that's such an interesting thought pattern that people have, is that you shouldn't follow the joy and the curiosity. And it's like, it's such an interesting way that people, I feel, stay so like enslaved in their way of living, and like that's completely fine and that's their own journey. But understand that like it does not matter what other people think is possible for you, and you already know that, but I think that maybe you just have to hear it again, is that like part of your journey has been to like fully accept yourself and know yourself, no matter what the projection or the story is. And in that, you then come into alignment with the truth of who you are. You come into alignment with abundance. You come into alignment with the timeline where you get to have so much abundance. You get to decide. Like, the thing that really is so beautiful about having that is that you have the freedom to decide where you want to go. Like, today I was thinking about, where do I want to go? I was like, it's kind of, the thing about freedom is that it doesn't come with a blueprint. And so it's wonderful having so many options of like where you can go and where you can live and what you can do and what you can create and what you can talk about and it's like the most spiritual journey is being on that freedom, is being, you know, in the alignment with the timeline where you have your own business, your own platform, your own whatever it is, that allows you then to be like, okay, where do I want to live? What do I want to do with my time? What is my purpose? And so I was like, do I want to go to Italy? Do I want to stay here? Do I want to go to Switzerland? Do I want to where do I want to go? I was like, oh my gosh. And then I was like, God, send me signs. I'm going to follow the joy and the curiosity in each micro moment of the day. I'm going to focus on, you know, really going deep in the things that I'm passionate about and creating from that place, and, you know, enjoying the moment and feeling gratitude for where I am, and then go from there. What's interesting is that, like, this van, you guys know, this van is my spiritual teacher. My plan is to retire it, and I've accepted that plan. But in that, because I've had so much time here while I've been looking at cars and trying to figure out, like, you know, where to go as well after this, I have had downloads of how to fix the van. And so I had the mechanic come the other day, and he did the thing that I asked him to do but didn't fully do it. I asked him to isolate the two batteries, the leisure battery and the front battery, and this won't be for everybody. I won't spend too much time on this part of the message, but he only disconnected the red part, and that made it so of the leisure battery, which is strange that they're connected in that way, but that made it so that the van didn't even start anymore. And the issue is something like with the transmission and like the quick shift. It's like a very special van. Everyone says it's so special. There's been this one problem and it's broken down all throughout Europe and no one ever knows how to fix it, which is like such an interesting experience. It was like a very similar thing with my health journey, that pattern of like, no one knows how to fix it. No, there's no answers, there's no cure. But there is, and I had to find it myself. And so I got this download to do this thing, and so then he did it, and it like made the issue even worse. The van didn't even start anymore. So then I figured out how to like actually isolate the two batteries properly, and like so now they're completely, and I cut some wires and I did some things, and now it starts. And then I also got it to drive, because I was thinking that it was the leisure battery was the thing that was tripping the quick shift. And then I actually drove for a second, which is so crazy. And then it went back into the safety mode and it's not driving anymore. So I know exactly what to do next. And all these mechanics throughout Ireland have told me, you know, it's this, it's that, it's a gearbox, it's a clutch, you're wrong, it's not a manual gearbox, it's an automatic. And I'm like, no, you're actually wrong. It is a manual gearbox. But because I'm a woman and because all these different blah, blah, blah things in the matrix, it's like, it's put me on this journey of knowing myself, knowing what I know, standing up for myself so fiercely, and taking things into my own hands, and, you know, also asking God, say, okay, put whatever is meant to be on my path on my path. I trust your timing. I trust the timing of me figuring this out. I trust the timing of me finding the right professional if it's meant to be fixed. I trust the timing of it never being fixed if I'm meant to get a car. And I trust that this is all unfolding my path perfectly. Because in this time of being here in Ireland in this broken down van for 3 months now and not traveling and not being in the chaos of the farm in Italy, I have allowed myself to go deeper into my journey of being paid to exist, of creating content online, of creating my courses and my programs, and going deeper in my subconscious work and making like my sleep hypnosis program, which starts tomorrow. So if you guys want to sign up or in 2 days, if you want to sign up for the pre-sale right now, that is available. It's the craziest subconscious work that I've ever done. And my dreams have been so interesting. I think the last time I made a video, did I have a video on this? No, I wrote an email on this, but I dreamed of my narcissist ex, who at first, when I dreamt of him, when I first started the program and listening to the hypnosis, I like wanted to turn off the hypnosis in my dream because I didn't want him to hear my big dreams and like who I really was. I wanted to stay small so that I could be loved, was like kind of the pattern of the dream. So there will be dream interpretation advice, like ways, tools, so that you can understand whatever comes up in your dreams. But then I moved to a dream the other day where he was in my dream, and he's never going to be in my picture again, but my subconscious gives me a lot of information about that time because it was a really hard time dating a narcissist and being in that for 3 years. And so a lot of stuff on my self-worth and all these things that have been, I guess, holding me back from what I'm leaping into. And so the other day I had the dream of him, and I was able to fly. It was like at first starting with the whole like him wanting to be in my life but not wanting to be in my life and like that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, yes, and then no, and then yes. And then I was like, oh wait, I have magic. And then for some reason I couldn't be in this area because of my magic was not safe there. And so I flew away. I had Arlo with me and Duchess and I think as well Aslan, but he was maybe already in the magic place. But I was flying away with them. And then my ex was like, stay, come back, get me. And I was like, no. And I flew to the place where my magic would be safe. And that storyline, that dream, it just showed me so much about what has been done in my subconscious, and like how much has been freed about that specific block. And then the next night, I had a dream about some people in my life who have always doubted me and always, they're kind of in my life, you know what I mean, and not really seen me for who I am. And so in that dream, they like both gave me a kiss on the cheek, and like in the meaning of that was kind of like, we're proud of you and like we honor you. And that was such an interesting feeling too, because I was like, wow, like I've moved past this too. And so all this deep subconscious work has been possible because I've trusted the crumble. I've trusted the void. I've allowed this experience to be what it's meant to be, while also following my curiosity. Like my curiosity was like, what if it is the 2 batteries? And what if it is this thing about the van? And then, that's working simultaneously while I'm also being downloaded with the ways to work through my subconscious so that when the van is driving or I do get the car, it all collides perfectly together as I like leap into this new timeline of, what's in my sleep hypnosis. And, I'll have the mode of transportation to drive to that timeline, wherever that is. It's all very, very, very fascinating. And you really, especially in this time on Earth, with all the shifts going on, with the new Earth emerging, with the timeline split, with whatever you want to call it, whatever, you're really tuned into right now, there is the option, especially with the internet, and especially with all the different ways of making money. And now I'm getting a throat block, so I think that's kind of confirmation, but it's like, I think there's a lot of you who are meant to speak more openly about what you're passionate about what you want. I think, that's actually, I think what it is. I've been seeing that a lot recently in a lot of like Bible stuff. I've been diving into the Bible a bit more, but also like really using that time with discernment as well, but leaning into the truth and the love that is infused in it as well. It's an interesting journey, but a lot of it talks about how using your voice is like how you communicate to God and to the universe, in my interpretation of what you want, like speaking it out loud and like actually saying it if you can. And that's what I do in my programs of like 21 days to regulate. So the way that I healed my chronic illness was through brain retraining, and in that you're actually speaking it out loud. And so you're speaking out loud like the different steps of rewiring your brain, because it activates a different part of your brain. I also think it like sends vibrations of your magic thing of your voice into the universe and sends those to be created into your timeline. So speak out loud what it is that you want, and then also leave room for it to be better than you could have ever imagined. Say, I choose this timeline or whatever is for my highest good. And also, if you have the courage to do so, which I'm always like, I don't know, that God opened the doors that are meant for me and closed the doors that are not. that allows that crumble to happen like that. Like that. And it is abrupt sometimes, and it is painful sometimes, but it is efficient. And so if you are ready for a new life, and you are ready for efficiency, and you are ready for things to crumble, and for you have the self-trust to go on that journey of being in the void, and the trust of holding the vision, then you can say things like that of God, open the doors that are meant for you, close the doors that are not, and know that, in that crumble, you are about to emerge into that timeline where you get to be paid to exist. You get to be paid to be in your purpose of following the joy and following the curiosity, and having the freedom to choose, and having the freedom to decide where you want to be, what you want to do with your time, and not necessarily linking your time to money. Like, it's no longer an exchange of time, because time is not even real. Time is an illusion, especially with what's supposed to happen on the 14th of time, the perception of time changing. I think we're going to move more into that understanding that time is a made-up concept. And so you're no longer trading this illusion for another illusion of money, when it's really you are exchanging your joy and your curiosity for abundance, and you're doing this dance with that. And the new currency is creativity. And so you get to be on that journey of creating whatever you want to create, and you get to wake up in the morning and like decide what it is, what download you have. And it's no longer about this like wake up, sauna, sound bath, or not sound bath, but maybe sound bath, cold plunge, meditation, breath work, 500 push-ups, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's not so robotic anymore. It's more of a flow and a dance with your intuition. And that is the journey to getting paid to exist and never working again, because that illusion, I think, is crumbling for this collective. I think that there will be that 3D world still existing, but I think that there will also be this completely different timeline where it's like you maybe lose contact with these people on Earth, but they're still here, but it's almost like you're in a completely different world, and now you're in this other world, and like your creativity is allowing you to, be in alignment with that abundance and purpose and service to others, because whatever you create offers that vibration of your authenticity, which is the most expansive thing in the entire world, to others to help expand and go on that journey of ascension. So I'll leave you with that. I love you guys so much. If you want to sign up for the sleep hypnosis, that is linked below. I also have my 21-day programs and Decondition, which is my 12-week program. I'm going to go feed the doggies. They were pretty good. And go get warm because it's getting chilly. But I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.